Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our speaker today, Jim Hornfischer.
The events of those 48 hours are in mid-November were the climax and culmination of the 6-month campaign of attrition that kicked off on this day 70 years ago. And I think I'm just filled with pride to be here to talk about it. The Guadalcanal landings were the first major offensive operation that Allied forces took anywhere worldwide against the Axis. It was before North Africa, it was before everything, and it could have gone either way. Our Navy didn't know where it was going. You can say that because the maps and charts were relics of the 19th century. It didn't know what it was going to do when it got there. The rehearsals were a disaster in the Coral Islands. There were terrible disagreements over the plan for aircraft carrier support once the troops were ashore. The fleet literally didn't even know what day it was. One of Admiral Kinkaid's carrier task force forgot to account for the international date line as it traveled south. And so was as a consequence, USS, one of the carriers, was low on fuel on D-Day. They weren't ready for battle. The Imperial Japanese Navy was the finest naval fighting force in the world at that time, and it spent 6 months proving it. But by the end of these 100 days off Guadalcanal, which saw a major amphibious operation blossom ashore, 7 major actions at sea, 5 of them terrible surface battles fought around midnight in the pitch dark, hull to hull. The Marines and the Navy had learned to fight. They'd discovered their warrior spirit, and they'd broken the Japanese will in spirit and body to fight really in this kind of sustained way that was necessary to win a theater-wide war. We have no time to do the whole campaign here today. Hopefully you'll thank me for that. But the example and the legend of one naval officer in particular who found himself at the point of the spear is really who I want to bring into focus today. He was a longtime resident of San Francisco, grew up in Oakland, went to St. Ignatius, and his name is Daniel J. Callahan. It's General Vandegrift and his staff, the landings, and Admiral Callahan. He served as naval aide to President Franklin Roosevelt. He served as a captain of the San Francisco up until early 1942, and in April, I believe it was, he was plucked from that post and sent for a tour of staff work, reporting to Vice Admiral Robert L. Gormley, Comm SOPAC, as planning for Operation Watchtower kicked off. Admiral Callahan died in action less than a month later. He died less than a month after returning to his post at sea. He's largely a cipher to people who write books, and therefore also to the public. We know fairly little about him, but they tend to be the same things from book to book. But it's really been thanks to my association with Chief Johnny and his shipmates and his colleagues at the Naval Order that I've been able to gain some insight into what Admiral Callahan was all about, and specifically how he conducted the battle of Friday the 13th.